Hey, everybody, welcome to another chapter of the Book of Sean. I am Sean McMillan, and it's good to see you. I'm excited about seeing you tonight. Thank you for tuning in. It is my absolute pleasure to have this time with all of you. Tonight, we're going to have a great show. I'm talking to an amazing author and professor, the one and only Dr. Lakisha Simmons, about breaking generational curses and obtaining what she calls, and what I want to understand better, financial freedom. While she has made it her mission to teach financial literacy to others. And along the way, I want to understand what she's learned, what she's gained, and what are those indispensable, intangible lessons and wisdoms that only a woman who climbed her way up from the bottom can teach us. And later on in the same interview with her, I'm going to talk about her great book. And I love the title already, The Unlikely Achiever. Now, that's a title for your behind. I'm telling you right now. The Unlikely Achiever. We're going to talk about her life, her journey, her story, her victory, her struggle, and her book. And then when I'm done with Dr. Simmons, not done with Dr. Simmons, but when our conversation comes to an end, I'm going to answer some of your questions because you guys love sending me questions. So we're going to do a little bit of Ask Dr. Sean, where I delve into all the things you asked me to help you think through. Because, there's nothing wrong with that. But, asking questions is never my first love, or answering questions never my first love. My first love is talking to great people. Let's talk to one right now. Let's talk to the one and only Dr. Lakisha Simmons. Hey, Dr. Lakisha.
Wow. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, Dr. Sean.
It is my pleasure, my pleasure, my pleasure. So, before we get into the ebbs and flows of your life and get into the brilliance of the book, you watched the show, you've seen the show. So, I love to sort of delve into the heart and the mind and the soul of the matter because, soul talk is what I do. It's what I'm most invested in. So let's see if you and I can have a few aha moments. All right. Can we do that?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, Dr. Lakisha, again, I pride myself on the questions that I ask. And again, sometimes the questions my producer comes up with are better than mine. Doesn't happen often. but this is one of those times. And so they gave me this question. I said, I'm going to ask her this question. This either came from Destiny or Jocelyn, all right? But this is the question. If the world was ending tomorrow, what would you do today?
Ooh.
Isn't that a great question? Yes. I'm so mad I didn't think of it.
What would I do today? I would definitely do something with my boys. I would get a private jet. This is just being honest. I would take money, whatever money I have, get a private jet, my husband, my mother, as many family members as I can grab, and we would fly out of the country, maybe to Hawaii or maybe Fiji, Tahiti, somewhere exotic, and just spend the rest of the day together, have some amazing food and talk and laugh and dance and just enjoy each other. That's what I would do.
Look, I'm going. The question is so good. I want to answer it. So if I knew the world was ending tomorrow, what I would do today is eat every pizza I could possibly find. I mean, it would be grotesque. when I got through eating all the pizza that I could stuff into my mouth, because what's a carb going to do tomorrow? It's over. So listen, let's keep going with this. Tell me, what part of you tends to save the rest of you most of the time?
The other thing I like about StreamYard is that if there's ever a glitch in your internet connection.
You have some good questions tonight. What part of me tends to save? I think just being honest here, I'm an overthinker. I overthink things. And sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's a bad thing. So the fact that I can think through something, that saves me a lot of times since I'm not impulsive. Because a lot of times my first mind is to do something, and then when I sit and think about it, that keeps me from sending that email that I shouldn't have sent when I was upset, or saying something in the moment to someone that I love. Maybe I need to put it in a different way. So just being an overthinker has really saved me a lot.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm an overthinker, but if I dig my heels in It's because I've thought through the consequences and I'm prepared to accept every last one of them. Let me ask you this. When did you know you were grown, and how did you know?
I did not know I was grown until I had my first child.
Okay, wait. I did not expect you to say that. Yeah. What was it about? Obviously, having a child makes you grown because grown people have children. But what was it about that experience that said, "Oh, childhood is over"?
I was 30 years old when I had my first son, my first child, and I have two boys. And in that moment, it was such a long delivery, labor and delivery. And when he came into the world, everything was about him. From that was no longer about, oh, I'm just going to take off this weekend and fly to Las Vegas for the weekend, or I'm going to do something for me, or I don't feel like cooking tonight. It's not that. When I have my boys, it is about them. I dedicate so much time to their virtual schooling and to making meals for them and riding bikes with them. It's like I just give so much of myself to them and their life that's when I knew, okay, I'm grown, because it's no longer about me. And maturity really stepped in.
That spoke to me, because I would tonight that millions and millions and millions of people would understand that the difference between being a grown person and a child is your capacity to consider other people.
Yeah, definitely delaying your own pleasure. Right, there's so many times that I want to go out with my friends or just do something for me, and they need me. So, and I enjoy spending time with them. I never want to treat my blessings as burdens. And so that means that I have to step back a lot on things that I want to do. But I know that it's a blessing. They were given to me, blessed me with them. And I know there's so many women out there who want to have children, and I'm so sensitive to that. And I actually lost a child myself, and there's not. And so I know what that feels like, and so I just want to cherish those moments with my children.
Okay, I love Dr. Lakisha. She's got me. You got me. You absolutely got me.
I've been through a lot in my life.
Oh my goodness! I'm about to lay on the floor. Whatever. Listen, okay, stop it. Because if we fall all the way out the chair together, nobody will be here to be on this show. And I haven't even got. What'd you say that again?
And we'll both be crying. I already have my tissue.
Listen, I don't have any, because and no, like, the audience doesn't know what the hell we're talking about. So let's help them, because Dr. Lakisha and I have a common experience. And we share a common experience because both of us were born to teenage parents, right? And so one of the things I wanted to ask you was, I know what my experience was like. What was yours like, being born to teenage parents?
Yeah, so I love my parents, and we have talked through these issues, and they have forgiven me, and I have forgiven them through everything that happened. So they allow me to speak about it, and they weren't in my life. Oh, that's my mom there. They weren't in my life for a lot of my adolescent years and high school years, and because life was just too hard for them, and they needed to do some growing up themselves.
Yeah.
And so luckily for me, I had a grandmother who I was really close to that cared for me, and I had aunts and uncles, and I even had godparents who I love to pieces, who stepped in and took care of me. They're not even blood relatives. They're just family friends that stepped in and took care of me because I needed a home. And I'm so thankful to the aunts and uncles who over the years let me stay with them and helped me through school and helped encourage me. And my aunt Nisi, I remember the first college tour she took me on, and we drove, and they had a van, and we drove through Nashville, and I saw Tennessee State, and my godparents, Trina Taylor, just took me in and helped me off to college. And when my parents weren't there, and then my parents now are in my life, and they're very active grandparents for my children. And so it was really tough, being from lower economic conditions. And I'm just so thankful that now that they're all still part of my family, and it humbled me. It humbled me. It was tough. I was very depressed as a child, very depressed. I cried myself to sleep most nights, living with different family members. Not no fault of theirs, but just because of what I was going through and feeling so lonely as a child.
Yeah.
So I need my children to feel that way.
Yeah. I think with most people, and help people who don't know what you and I have gone through, who don't understand what homesickness feels like, because they've always slept in the same bed, under the same house, with the same parents. But we understand homesickness. Explain to everybody what homesickness does to the soul.
Not really feeling that you even have a home can be so tough. You have family who love you and they're caring for you and they're doing the best they can and they're taking care of you. But the fact that you want your parents, you at the end of the day, you want, there's nothing that a child wants more than their parents, period.
Yeah. You know, I told you before the show starts, whenever I'm gearing for conflict, or whenever I have to summon courage, one of the things that I do is I conjure my mother, because I know of no more resilient and powerful person who has ever lived in my life other than her. In your case, you spoke about your grandmother. Talk to me about your grandmother a little bit.
Margaret was such a special person. Oh, that woman. She was so strong, and she started having children young. And I believe she was 14 or 15 when she had her first child. And she, similar to you, had several husbands and tried to make that work. But she always was such a hard worker. She was so determined. And I've just never met a more confident person, right? Just confident and strong-willed. And I know that I get my courage from her. And just having someone to emulate in that way, it's not about money or things, but it's about having someone that you can look to or think about and say, you know what, everything that this woman overcame, if she did it, I can do it. And that's the type of person I want to be. I want to be the woman that other women look and say, if she did it, if she was divorced and overcame her divorce and turned her divorce into dividends, I can do it too. If she was a single mom, I can be a single mom and get my college degree. I can do it too. And that's what I want other women to feel, that motivation.
Well, look, there's a reason we call you Dr. Lakisha Simmons, because you were the first in your family to graduate from college. You hold a PhD, and so from being rejected, from having parents that weren't ready for you, from being moved around to family members, crying at night, homesickness, being raised by your grandmother, and here you are tonight with all of the resilience and accomplishment and all of the achievement. You manifest something special. Do me a favor, talk to everybody tonight who's still in the struggle and they don't believe that victory is possible. You came here tonight to tell them what?
I did. I came here to let you know that you can do what you put your mind to. You have to believe it. If you don't believe it, then it will not happen. You have power. You have an inner power of confidence. And if you don't have the confidence, hear me clearly, okay? You can do anything. You just have to believe. Do you think that I thought that as a single mom that I could be financially free today from teen parents? No, I didn't come from privilege. I didn't come from, that people say, oh, you come from a good family. I come from a family who love me and they poured in. We didn't come from wealth. And so, yes, you can do it, but if you do it yourself and if you're not encouraged and starting from the self, okay, it's from the self out. Don't look at your environment and then feed off of your environment. It doesn't work.
You know, Dr. Lakisha, let me cut you off because I'm gonna have to take a break soon. Okay. But the thing that I really want you to do when we come back is to help people understand from the well of your life what it is you're really trying to get them to understand, right? Because people say a lot of things, but a lot of us don't understand what's really being said. When we come back, we're going to go a little deeper in this, all right? Because your journey is amazing. Your presence is amazing. And I'm here for this conversation. Don't go anywhere. Dr. Lakisha Simmons. When we come back. Welcome back, everybody. I'm talking to author and professor Dr. Lakisha Simmons, who went from being born to teenage parents to being the first in her family to graduate from college, and she holds a PhD. She masters and helps families and young people and people generally understand what financial freedom is all about. Dr. Simmons, let me say this to you, because one of the things I want people to understand, I really push my guests to take us there. Like, take us there, because if you take us there through your story, then we can understand something better about our own. When you were the little girl who was suffering from homesickness, when did you know it was bad, and how did you know? Was there a moment that crystallized it for you, and in that moment you said to yourself, Jesus?
I think probably my lowest point was freshman year of high school. And because that was the point where people are starting to talk about college and what they wanted to be when they grew up. And I had nothing. I had nothing for anyone. When they asked me what I want to be, I don't know. I had no ambition. I had no goals. I was just broken. I was just like a zombie each day. I skipped school, skipped class, and I just felt like I really didn't have anything to aspire to be. And I just was a zombie. And so one day in high school, I was walking down the hall, skipping class because I just didn't like school. And there was a flyer on the wall, and it said Historically Black College Tour. And I thought to myself, okay, what is that? I know what college is, but I knew it wasn't really in my future. But there was a number on it, and I took the number down, and the rest of the day I remember being so intrigued about this, and I couldn't wait to get home and call about it. And I called about that college tour, and it was only a couple of $100 to go on the tour, and it was for historically Black colleges. And I was able to fundraise enough money from family members and godparents to go on that tour. And Dr. Sean, that changed my entire life. Because when I stepped on that college campus and I saw those students walking with purpose with their backpacks, and they looked like leaders, and you could just see them just going from building to building, it just invoked something in me that I saw hope. I saw this could be me. I was exposed to something bigger than me in my life, and I had something for the first time to hope for that was just for me. And so that moment changed my entire outlook. I went back to high school 100% focused on getting the best grades I could, and guess what? Going to college. That was a goal that I had at that point. And that changed.
That's an amazing story, how just a college tour and just being in that environment really changed the trajectory of your life. So it makes me want to ask you, as you surmise and understand it, what exactly did education do for you?
Oh, it changed my entire life because it exposed me to the opportunity to make my life be what I wanted it to be. Because it was a window of opportunity for me to get into a career that would provide the means for me to live a life that I wanted. And so I was able to go and attend Tennessee State University. I graduated with a bachelor's of business information systems, and I started a career in technology at Caterpillar Financial. That was huge for me, and I had a salaried position. That was huge. That changed my life forever because I was no longer that insecure little girl that wasn't sure where she was even going to be living next year or next month or who she was going to be living with. I knew from then on I could take care of myself. The opportunity of a lifetime because no one can take it from you. And now I have a master's and a PhD. It doesn't matter if this job comes or goes. I can create opportunities for myself with education.
You preaching now.
Today.
Yeah, no, you preaching now. It's that feeling is something I want everybody who watches this show to have. The idea that you don't have to be manipulated by fear or the loss of something because you are gifted enough. If they take the house, you are gifted enough to get you another one. If they take the platform, you're gifted enough to build you another one. And that's what education gave you. It gave you a sense of yourself and your ability, and it awakened in you the giant. Correct me if I'm wrong, affirm me if I'm right. There was a giant sleeping in you, and somewhere on that campus, the giant woke up.
You are absolutely right. I was so on fire about getting straight A's, going to college, and going as far as I could. I was ambitious. I was driven.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that before. It was like a light bulb went off, or this fire, the giant came out of me. And it was ferocious. I was ready, and I was ready to take on the world. I had something to look forward to. And what is life without having something to look forward to?
Yeah, no, that is the question, right? But you know the reality is that, Dr. Lakisha, there's so many people who get up from day to day and they attempt to live it without any sense of expectation, anticipation, or hope, and that is why life becomes a drudgery. It becomes a cacophony of different levels of sadness. But what I hear you inviting us to at a deeper level, and I'm going to pose it this way, because a lot of people think, because I'm ready now. A lot of people think that you go to college to get a job, You and we seem similar in the sense that going to college, getting an education has nothing to do with getting a job. It has everything to do with educating and awakening yourself. Here's my question. Tell everybody tonight the difference between cheap schooling and deep education.
Now you're preaching now, right? Here's the thing I want people to know about education. You're going to college to teach yourself how to think. Did everybody hear that?
How about that?
Teach yourself how to think and how to teach yourself how to learn anything. Because at this point, I don't need to take another class. I can teach myself anything. Does that make sense? And that's
you're preaching.
Exactly. So go to learn how to think, stretch that muscle of a brain, and learn how to do anything. There's nothing you can't do that's not within your power. And that's what education allows you to do.
Yeah, no, I affirm that. I agree with that. Absolutely. And you said, when my sons came to me and they wanted to know, well, Pops, why should we go to college? After I thought about killing them for even asking the question, I said to them exactly what you said. I said, what you learn at college is not really the point. You're going to forget half of it. Exactly. I said, what you're learning there is how to think, how to be reasonable, how to deliberate, how to adjudicate. You're learning how to grow out of your child mind into an analytic mind. It's not the content, it's the structure I'm sending you there to get.
Amen.
Let's do an offering.
Right. That's what my grandmother would say. I'm with you when you're right.
I'm with you when you're right. Listen. So let's change gears, because I don't want to not have some time to talk about what has been one of your passions and your interests. And I'm going to ask you this way. So when did you get interested in money?
So in 2017, I went through a divorce. And at that moment, when my husband at the time left, I realized that I had to carry the burden of this 5-bedroom house that was $2,400 a month mortgage, lawn care, all the expenses along with it. And I said, oh my goodness. And I looked at my bank account and I said, I have about $5,000 in cash. I have a little bit of money in retirements from different rollover companies I worked for. But I really didn't have anything. If I would have lost my job, I would have been in serious trouble. And I was living paycheck to paycheck. And that was just unacceptable, because then again, I went back into that young Lakisha mode, feeling insecure. And with being a mother, that is the last thing that a single mama wants to feel, is insecure. Right. And so I knew I had to do something. And that's when I got interested in money. At that time, I already had a PhD in technology and business and all that great stuff. But at this time, I needed to teach myself, right? That's what I went to college for, learn how to think. I taught myself the stock market. I taught myself what's the best way to budget so that I could sustain a budget. What are my goals with money? And how do you really put together a plan that's going to work to make me, for once in my life, secure? And that's when I got serious about it. And the first step was selling that house, because that was my biggest expense. So I had to shed myself of the house. And my sons and I, we moved into a 1,000 square foot, 2-bedroom apartment. And it was the best feeling in the world, because I started to immediately feel free.
You know, the irony of what you just said to me was it was a divorce that did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, it amazes me how sometimes the things that break us are often the very things that set us in the right direction. And who would have thought that would have been the moment of definition, and that would have been the moment that turned your focus in this direction, where you've been able to help so many people understand financial literacy and achieve financial freedom. And it was the worst moment in your life that produced the very thing that you're known for around the world.
Exactly. I would have never guessed that this is what God would be my mission right now with God. But clearly everything that my whole life has led to this moment to help others, men and women, learn financial literacy. It's an education component that we're just not taught in schools. And I want people to know about their 401k. And so I do live workshops once a month where I sit down with you with a group over Zoom, and I teach you about what is a 401k, what is a Roth IRA, what are the IRS rules about it, and we talk about it, and we talk about the stock market and what is the Dow Jones and what is the difference between that and the S&P 500 and index funds. And so just giving people that education that they never had so they can start taking steps towards their own financial freedom. That's so important.
No, it is, and I want to get to that. You know what? I'm going to keep you one more segment. Is that all right? Can I keep you one more segment?
Love that.
Okay,
yes.
Good. Now, so I'm going to keep you one more segment because we still haven't talked about the book. But before we get into the Roth, whatever you just said, and the 401ks, let's take a little time and dance on the graves of all the things people said you would never be and never become, because tonight we need to dance in celebration of the little girl who made it, of the little girl who turned into this magnificent woman and mother. And just give me a short answer to this because I got to take a quick break. Yes or no? Have you taken time to do all the dancing you deserve?
Oh yes, we are happy and we are thanking God.
Yeah, no, I love it because I believe you ought to be able to celebrate at least half as long as you've cried. And when you've gone through what you and I have had to go through, you know, just not having family, being born to parents who weren't ready to be parents, there's a lot that happens in those early years that can just suck the life out of you. But look at you. I gotta take this break. But look at you too. You're an amazing creation. Don't you go nowhere. I'm about to talk to an unlikely achiever, and I might be talking about you. How about that? We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. You're watching the Book of Sean. I'm talking to Dr. Lakisha Simmons. This is an unlikely achiever, and Dr. Simmons, I am. Let's get to the book because I love the title, and at the risk of sounding pedantic, why when you had to decide what to call this book something, why did that speak to you, and what were you hoping that title would do to the rest of us?
So it was a really hard decision what to name the book, but I really wanted to name the book something that represented my transition from that young Lakisha that was overcoming childhood trauma to the successful businesswoman who has 3 degrees and has been a force in the business world and all the tools that I learned to achieve. And so I thought, what word really sums up? It's an achiever, right? I'm an achiever. And putting the H in the word for achieve her was really important to me. But it's unlikely. Who would ever thought the daughter of teen parents who was shifted around to different family members would one day be a professor, a college professor? And so the unlikely achiever, and what I want other women to see, and men buy the book too, but I want you to see what is in you. Where is that tiger that's hiding in you that's ready to come out and achieve all your hopes and dreams? This can be you. That is you. And so I want you to own it. And so that is the purpose of the book, for you to get that inspiration story, but also some tools. So what a lot of people don't realize is that it's a workbook. It's actually a book with exercises and templates and budgets, and teaches you body language and conflict resolution skills and how to negotiate, which is something I find a lot of women don't do. And so I really wanted to speak to them particularly in that chapter of how to negotiate anything.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put you to work now. So there are a bunch of women watching because women love my show. So I love the fact that they do. And so how about we give them some free tips on how to negotiate? Give me 2 tips that any woman can use to negotiate and advocate for herself.
All right, perfect. So one of the tools that I like to use is called the yeses trick. So anytime you want someone to agree with you or do something that you want them to do, such as give you a higher raise or promotion, so you start off by asking them questions that you know they will say yes to about you. So such as, you believe that I did a really great job on the last project, right?
Yes.
Said, yeah, you did a great job. And I'm always here. I'm the most dependable one at work. I'm always on time. You can count on me. I'm a leader. Don't you? Do you perceive me as a leader? Oh,
yes.
Yes, of course, Dr. Keisha, you're a leader. Okay, great. And so I'm sure that you will see that it's only fair that I receive an exemplary raise this year, right? Of course, yes. Of course you do. So doing that yes technique has worked wonders for me. And I know it may sound silly, but it works. It absolutely.
That's a good one. You got one more? Because I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that myself.
Yeses, yes. You do at least 3 yeses and then do your ask. And so then another one is make sure when your body language, pay attention to what you're doing with your hands. So I know here I may not show my hands as much, but when you hold your hands in a way like you're holding a basketball, okay, that really shows that you're thinking, even if you've well rehearsed. And also we've seen the temple. A lot of presidents use this one. You've seen this a lot. So this also looks very leadership, right? This people will perceive you as a leader. And the last body language, and there's so many more in the book, but is when you just slightly touch your chin and turn your head to the side. It really makes it like you're really paying attention and listening to the other person, because you want to perceive. Has anyone, I'm sure out there, women have heard, oh, you don't look happy, or why don't you smile more, this or that. Well, these are just some things you can do, even if you don't want to be there, or you're ready to go. Look at things, you're really in tune. You're really excited, even if you're not.
Yes, that last one is also the talk show host default position. You do this. You're like, yes, I don't know what the hell you're saying, but here I am, and here we are together. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. So tell me this, because I know you have an expertise in this. I want to make sure I ask you this question. What do most people get wrong about how we think and deal with money?
The one thing that people get wrong from the jump is that they think a budget is a chore, and they think, oh, I don't know how to do it. I can't sustain it. Yes, you can. You really can. It's not as hard as you think. You just really need to sit down and put your mind to it, because it's the one single thing that helps you understand where you're spending money and helps you reach your financial goals. So if you want to pay off debt, you have to start with a budget. If you want to save $1 million or have $1 million invested and retire early, you have to start with a budget. That's where it all starts. But it doesn't. This is what I call, Dr. Sean, this is what I call it, my bestie. It's my budget bestie. And I find that kind of makes it a little more fun, right? It's because it is something that you should be really close to, and you should know in and out. You should be able to easily access it on your phone or wherever you are, so that you always know where you're spending money, if you've overspent, and as you've heard, pay yourself first. But I say pay your goals first. What's your goal? Is your goal to invest? Max out your 401k? Is it to pay off a debt? Whatever that is, do that first, and your budget helps facilitate that.
Yeah, Dr. Simmons, I'm gonna have to let you go soon, but I want to do something with you here. I know that you were featured in Business Insider, and I want you to see that. I know that you were featured in People's Magazine. I know that they talked about you and they celebrated you. You are such an achievement. You are not something adiaphora, indifferent, ordinary. I just honor the sacredness of your life and your journey, and how you refuse to be broken. It is. I don't get inspired often because I do this for a living, but I am absolutely inspired by how tenacious and how dignified and how accomplished you are. And I just want to pour that on you. I want to lay my reverence at your feet and at the feet of your family and those who produced you and loved you. And I want you to know that if nobody else sees you in addition to your family, that I see what you've become, and it is marvelous in my eyes. I'm about to throw my shoe. Dr. Lakisha Simmons, thank you for coming on. God bless you.